Alright, we got her put back together. Got her booted up. Is a thing to know that you really need a soft mod before you do the TSOP, which is what I've done. Did the swap trick soft mod. That's a whole other video in itself there. So it's booted up. It's booted up in its soft mod form. Soft mod is good, but a soft mod is not reliable if the hard drive fails. Like this old WD Protege drive here, it's amazing this thing still works. I mean, this is a hard drive from 2001, 2002. We put a bunch of these hard drives in the school computers here around the county. And hell, I bet I replaced 50% or more of them that failed after just about a year or two while they were still under warranty. This drive is still in here, and it's been in here as what, 2001, 13 years or something like that. So it's been in here a long time. These drives are not reliable. None of the Xbox drives are reliable. They're like 8 gigabyte drives, lowest possible brand versions of them. You know, like the 1.2 had this old janky Seagate in it. You know, this is a single platter drive, a little bitty thin thing. You know, it's just as old. Just need to get them out of there. Now, granted, I am replacing it with an old ass Western Digital, but it'll be a 200 gig drive. And once we do the TSOP, if the drive fails, it's super easy to replace. You don't have to deal with locking and unlocking. If these drives fail before you get around to soft modding or doing the TSOP mod, you're pretty much shit out of luck. The only thing I know that you could probably do if that happened, you could either install a mod chip and bring it back that way, which is like basically like having a TSOP. The other thing you maybe could do, by default, the Xbox is designed to boot from the DVD drive. So it is possible, even with a failed drive, if it doesn't throw up an error on the screen, sometimes it'll throw an error up. It'll boot the game first, like if you have things like 007, Agent Under Fire, I think Mech Assault 2. There's a couple of variations of the games that you can do save file glitches on, and if you can do the save file glitch, then you can get it to boot the HemoDOS disk, and then you could do the TSOP flash that way. A lot of bullshit involved in that. You have to have an Xbox memory card, which is, you know, I don't even have one, never have, because save games go to the hard drive. But you have to have that, and you either need an action replay, or you would have to take one of your Xbox controller cables, cut it, and put a USB in it. These are USB 1.1 ports. There's one extra wire on the port, and all that does is it tells the Xbox what controllers and what port. Other than that, it's a regular USB 1.1 port. But you would have to cut one of these and wire USB female end on it. Or actually, you'd rather male end on it. Doesn't really matter. But and then you could put like a USB drive or whatever on it and use that to do the hack. But that's just a whole bunch of bullshit. So, best thing you can do for these old Xboxes, especially like these 1.0s, which are original Xboxes. This was built in 2002. I think they were Xbox come out in 01. I think my original was in 01. But anyway, the best thing you can do for these is get these old ass hard drives out of here, put something a little bit newer in, and definitely mod them in such a way that, you know, IDE drives are basically out of production. And you can still get them. They cost a lot. But I mean, SATA has long replaced IDE. So the best thing you can do is get these drives out of here, put something a little bit newer in it. Hell, if you can put a SATA in it, put a SATA in it. You can get IDE to SATA converters. I'm thinking about doing that on one of mine, maybe a couple of them eventually. And then you can put more modern SATA drives in them. But you want to either hard mod them, either with a TSOP hard mod or with a mod chip. That way, if this drive dies, you're not dicked. You also want to, you could recover the soft mod by backing up the EEPROM data and the drive locking keys and all that crap. and then you could build an Xbox HDM disc that would allow you to basically rebuild a new drive using a PC. Huge pain in the ass. It's time consuming. I've had to do it before. It's not fun. So, best thing to do, chip or TSOP mod, which is the same as putting a mod chip in, basically. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to put our Hemadol disc in. This is the best disc in the world. I need to put a label on it, as a matter of fact. This is that Xbox I bought about a week ago. It is mint. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It didn't even have any dirt in it. All it had was a stuck disc tray. Lubrication fixed that. So we're going to boot this disc up. Probably take a minute to initialize the disc. So we'll go to launch DVD. This is a large disc, so it takes a minute to load. It's reading hard drive. I can hear the hard drive grinding away. And here we go. So this is Hemadol's engineering disc. Alright, so what we want to do is we're going to go down here to TSOP flash. And we're going to use mod chip or TSOP flash, not WinBond. If you had a WinBond or a Sharp chip, you would use this one. If a flash fails, you would immediately come back to this and run a cleanup so you don't corrupt the chip. And you can put the original Xbox BIOS on it. As you can see, we got an Xbox 1.0 with its crappy little 8 gig hard drive in it. So we're going to run this. Yep, we are absolutely sure this has a Phoenix chip in it. We'll copy some files over. Alright, down here, make sure you flash the correct BIOS for your Xbox. If in doubt, choose 256K BIOS. Well, we know this is a 1.0 and a 1.1. We know this for a fact this is a 1.0, so we know it's got the 1 meg flash, so we'll flash it with the 512K BIOS. And we're going to use the Executor 2 5035 BIOS with the F drive ability, because we're going to put a bigger hard drive in it, so we're going to need that. As you can see, the original BIOS, the Xbox BIOS, is 4034. So we're going to flash this BIOS. You can see it detected the chip. I'll press Y. If the TSOP works, it's going to erase it. So once those points on the board are bridged, it is electrically complete circuit. You can then erase the chip. And now we're going to flash the new BIOS, the Executor BIOS, to the Xbox onboard BIOS. What's going to happen when it's done, it's going to shut the Xbox off. Alright, the Xbox is off. Now, everybody say a prayer to the Xbox Lords that it works. Yep, Executor 2 config live loading. Executor rocks my box now. Alright, now you have a permanently modded Xbox without the need for a mod chip or a soft mod. And that's all there is to that. Now you can go in and upgrade the hard drive. Don't have to worry about disk locking anymore. part? Yep, kernel version 5035. Alright, so now we yank this ancient asshole hard drive out of it. Just drop the 200 gig in it. Put the lid on it, and it should be good to go for several more years. Alright, we got our new 200 gig. Well, I say new, this is actually a quite old drive. It's got a build date on it somewhere. I'm telling how old it is. November 2003, so almost as old as this Xbox. But it still works because it hasn't been used in a whole long lot of years. So we got it in, we got it formatted, and we're going to make sure that it'll boot again. Already booted it once, but we're going to boot it one more time. This is one of those loud Western Digital drives that had the, before they started using fluid bearings in them. Loud ass hard drive. Hopefully putting a lid on it will dead it down. Yep, there we go. Alright, well, this Xbox is done. It'll live on until the hard drive dies, and I'll just put a drive in it eventually. So that's all. That's 5 of them that I've modded so far. I want to make a note that the 1.6 models you cannot TSOP. They caught on to it, I guess, at some point down the line, and the chip, instead of using an EEPROM, an erasable chip like all these older ones use, the 1.6 just has an EEPROM. It's written to, and that's that. So for that, you have to either do a mod chip or just live with a soft mod. So I actually have a 1.6. It's sitting right back there playing peekaboo with a switch on top of it. It's soft modded, and it'll stay that way. So, alright, well, anyways, I guess I can start putting emulators and shit on here. Woo!